like a drug, a bad addict. Baby, I'm stuck on that. Can't get enough of that.
Something so beautiful, baby, prior to you. I never seen something so fly. Prior to you, thought the love was just a fairy tale. Then you came along and showed.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Today is Music Monday, and it's not the first of the month, but you better get on up if you want to get that check. You all know Bone Thugs and Harmony. I was listening to it the other day, so I've kind of been in this Bone Thugs mode here this week. But if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you do that. Thanks for those of you who have already subscribed. I really appreciate it, and I don't take any of that for granted. Thank you all for your comments and being engaged and watching these videos. I ran a little bit over the last time I recorded this, and so now this is my second take. I was talking a little bit too much and ran out of room. So we'll try to keep it down a little bit and make sure to fit all of this in, because I do have a lot to talk about today. But first up is Tyrese. Now, Tyrese released his new album, Black Rose, about a month ago now. And I do have to say this. I always will admit when I may not be up on music like I should be, or maybe I'm sleeping on a certain CD or artist and I shouldn't be. And this is definitely the case with Tyrese's new album, Black Rose. I really feel like a lot of his music in the past has been hit or miss to me. And what I mean by that is the singles are usually great, but when you listen to the whole album, I can't say I really can just play a Tyrese album from top to bottom. I just can't, to be honest with you. And even with TGT, I think that vocally he brought a lot to the group. But as far as overall artists, I think really Tank was the strongest member of that group. And I say that because Tank's albums are always consistent. You know, from the first one up until the most recent one, I can't really say I've heard a bad Tank album. And Genuine, even in his heyday back in the mid-90s, you know, he was a huge, huge star. And I think it's something he doesn't get credit for now, because he's opened the doors for artists like Justin Timberlake, who's working with Timbaland all the time. Really, Genuine was one of those first artists, along with Aaliyah, to really get Timbaland's sound and his music out there. But I digress. So, back to this Black Rose. Now, he sold 77,000 copies in his first week, which brought him to the #1 spot on the Billboard Top 200 Albums chart. But the sad thing many fans are really in an uproar about is this is supposed to be his last studio album. Tyrese is saying he's done with music, this is it. So Black Rose is his last album. So I've heard no less than, I would say, 5 different people come up to me and say, "Oh, you're going to do a review on the Tyrese CD." And like I said, I wasn't really a huge fan of his music. And I don't know, just something, it's almost like when somebody tells you about a good show to watch on TV, and if you're just not into it, you're just not into it. You may not watch it. But one of my friends sent me a few songs from the CD, which forced me into listening to it. And I heard 5 or 6 of them, and I said, okay, I got to go get this CD today. So, and I went and had to go to 2 different stores, and the second one was almost sold out. I got the last copy on the shelf. So, still moving pretty good there as far as number-wise. But it's a great CD, I have to say, from the beginning to end. Very good. And if you get a chance, get the deluxe edition, because it comes with a DVD documentary of him talking about the making of it, which he recorded over 160 songs in just 30 days. So I don't really see how he could say he's retiring when, you know, you have all this music still sitting out there. And it's also on his own label, Voltron Records, which I think is amazing. That's great when artists are able to release music on their own terms, on their own label. Tyrese wrote pretty much every song on the album. He also had his hand in production, and he has some very tasteful guest artists, I think, on here. Everyone that's featured definitely complements the project and doesn't take away from it. Marsha Ambrosia, she writes on here. I was about to say Eric Benet. Eric Bellinger, he writes on here as well. and Tank is featured on it, and so is Brandy. Chrisette Michelle, the song he does with her was really nice. And then he also has Snoop Dogg, and then his alter ego Black Ty, which was when he was trying to get into rapping. But thankfully, Black Ty only makes one appearance on the album. But this is a really kind of a grown folks music type of album. And it's just a lot of slow jams, a lot of remorse, reflection from maybe a relationship gone bad. And it's very sexual. Not so much in the lyrics, but just the vibe of a lot of the songs. It just has that kind of sensual, sexual vibe to it. And these 3 songs right here, I would say, if for nothing else, you need to get the CD for these 3 songs. And it's funny because they put them back to back. When We Make Love, Gonna Give You What You Need, and Body Language. Yeah, case closed. Those songs are, like I said, anybody that has the CD, you know what I'm talking about. And they're towards the end of the CD, but a great addition to the CD. And like I said, it really, for nothing else, you should get it just for those songs. So curious to see what you all think about Tyrese's new CD, Black Rose. And if you think it's just a stunt to get publicity or to get sales up, or if he really is retiring from music. And I will say that whether this is a stunt or not, the interesting thing about it is in his 15 or so year career, this is Tyrese's first #1 Billboard Top 200 albums chart. So some of you may say, oh no, he's had a #1 album before. Well, yeah, he may have on the R&B charts, but on the overall pop charts, this is the first time in his career that he's ever had a #1 album. So to say that this is your last and to go out on a note like that, hey, I'm sure he's very happy about that. Also, another group I want to talk about who was very popular in the 90s, SWV. About 3 years ago when I first started doing these videos, I did a review called SWV, They Miss Themselves, Do We? And basically, it was talking about their new album at the time, I Missed Us. It was the first time we had heard from SWV in a few years. And all I was saying was that I felt that for them to have been gone so long and for them to have contributed such great music to R&B and to R&B female groups, it just was subpar. I felt like it wasn't really a great album, and compared to their other catalog of hits, it just didn't measure up. But man, when I tell you the SWV fans came after me on that video, that was probably to date my most commented video that I've ever done. People were leaving different comments. Most people didn't like what I had to say, but hey, it's my opinion and I'm entitled to it. So, with that said, SWV is back with a new song. At least I think it's a new song. I found it last week, and maybe for those who are big fans, you may have already heard this song, but it's called Ain't No Man. I don't know who wrote it, who produced it, and I'll just say that before I heard the song, I had really high expectations because I was thinking, okay, they've had this reality show, they've had all this exposure, they're still touring and selling out shows, so this is going to be a hot song. This is what I'm thinking in my head before I press play on this thing. And so I'm listening, about a minute in and not really moving me yet, but keep giving it a chance. And by 4 minutes, the song is over. And I'm thinking, dang, here it is again. The song is okay. It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay song. I just don't, again, think that if this is something they're going to reintroduce for an album, I don't really agree with it. I think it's a good song for maybe an unreleased track or something like that, or a bonus track on a CD, but not something to say, hey, we're back and we're making new music. Just my opinion. So, curious to see what you all think about that. Ain't No Man, what you think about that song. I'll have a link for that as well, when you can check it out and hear it for yourself. See what you think about it. And Lauryn Hill is also making a comeback, but not really. For those of you who follow her, you may know what I'm talking about. But there's also a link to that. There's a review for a new CD that she's featured on. It's not her CD, but she's featured on most of the album's tracks. So again, for those Lauryn Hill fans, you probably know what CD I'm talking about. But she makes a great contribution to it, and it really just drives that hunger that everybody is wanting for her to come back and make a strong comeback. So check that review out as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in to Music Monday, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Black is the color of my true love's hair. His face so soft and wondrous fair. The pure